My son Michael was 12 years of age, very active, and we never thought anything of it when he came to us and explained that he had a very sore spot above his left knee. And so we let that go for a while until it really seemed to be bothering him a whole lot. An x-ray showed an egg-sized tumor in his left femur, which was diagnosed as osteogenic sarcoma. Michael died June 1st of 1984. We had read every book there was about death, loss in children. And after Michael's death, we thought, well, we did everything we could. Megan participated in the death and the dying. She participated in the funeral, and that life would go on. And that isn't what happened. When a young child has death loss, we had no idea of the ramifications this would bring to our daughter. And we thought there's got to be something in Fort Worth that will address the issues of death loss in children. So we began a search, and of course my first response was to call Dr. John Richardson, who had walked with us the entire journey of Michael's treatment, and as a family friend was there, he and his wife, to help us in bringing food and having a listening ear and doing all they could to help us.
After Michael's death, Peggy approached me with a question about Megan, her 9-year-old daughter, asked me if I knew a place that she could get some support. And I looked around, and there really, in Fort Worth, there wasn't any grief support program for children. So I said, well, if we're going to have one, we're going to have to start it ourselves.
So John and I looked at each other and realized that we did have to do something that would be all-inclusive for all children. And that's how eventually the Warm Place came into being. I don't think I slept for 2 months. I was so excited. I said, John, we have to do this immediately. These children need our help now. And he'd say, well, Peggy, we have to have some patience here. Let's do it the right way. And so I had to agree with John that being enthusiastic about something and actually problem solving and thinking details out and doing things correctly was the way we wanted to go in order to have a program that would be long lasting. And so that's what we did.
And to get the ball rolling, we got some foundations to help us and to secure some property for the hospital, with the idea that we would be able to use it for our program, and that's where the Ginger Rogers house came in.
And it was on Cooper Street, so the hospital was willing to allow us to have that for our facility. They were very open to the suggestion of affiliation with our agency because they realized that children do die and children grieve, and it would be a completion to what the hospital offers to parents. And at this time, our preliminary board of directors was meeting, and there was a wonderful physician, Dr. Roy Martin at Cook Children's Medical Center, that allowed us to use his office space. And in this journey, one of the questions that Dr. Martin remembered was my daughter saying, "What about me? Have you forgotten me in this grieving process?" And so he just started working with words on a blank piece of paper, and he said, "Warm." The word warm comes to my mind as an acronym for what about remembering me? And it was just all of a sudden, that was it. That was what it was. So the first night, that Thursday night on August 24th, I don't think I could breathe. I was so nervous. I said, we did all this work, and what if nobody comes? And that wasn't the case. And in that little house, we had 8 families that started our first night. The adults met in the living room, and we had a group for children, and we had a group for preteen and teen. It was an astonishing night. It was incredible. The families were so happy to be united with others that could understand the death loss that they were experiencing. And it grew from there.
It started in August. About November, I guess there were 20 families, and 6 weeks later, it just exploded. The need was there.
It was incredible. The time that we spent that first year with meeting people where they were in their journey and being able to see children begin to have smiles again, for families to make new friends. It was an awesome experience. I have never witnessed anything in my life that could compare to what we did that first year and continue to do. The hospital campus was growing and we were bursting at the seams. We had groups Monday through Thursday nights. We were doing training in the evenings and on weekends for the volunteers, and we realized that we needed a bigger facility. So we were very lucky to plan a home that was built at 809 Lipscomb Street. We have made a very conscious attempt to stay within our mission, which is strictly working with children and families with death loss. And I think that's probably why we've stayed so successful in what we do, as well as having compassionate staff members, board of directors that has been the backbone of the agency since the very beginning of the agency, people very dedicated to the mission. So that has been a huge blessing for all that we've done. When I think about the warm place and the future of our agency, I can't see it not continuing to grow and to meet the needs of the children that come with such broken hearts. To know that financially to be strong, that our agency will always be here for others, which I know that it will. We're approaching 30 years, and I kept thinking, will we make it through the first 5? Will people be willing to support us, that we never charge a family a fee to attend, that it's free for these people to come? And it has. We've maintained that, and we're approaching 30 years. It's just pretty hard to imagine that what we have done has continued, and there are people that have the heart for the agency, and that is what has helped it to continue to be what it is. And for children never to say, I have to grieve alone, but they can come here and be who they are and talk about that pain. That will never change. When a family has a death loss, it affects the entire family. And our families today, we never want them to have to pay. One of the things that makes this program so special is when you open the front door at night and the children come in and they're free with their hugs and their thank yous. And when a child comes up and says to any of us, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for making my heart go back together again. Thank you for letting me have new friends. Thank you for understanding what has happened in my life and to have done something to help. That makes it all worthwhile. It does. There's nothing greater than that. From the bottom of my heart, I can never extend my thank you deep enough to say thank you for believing in something that no one had a track record of back in the 80s. Nobody knew that it would be as successful as it is, but you believed in our mission, you believed in the children, and you had faith in what we were doing. And today we see that faith 10 times over in the children now that are grown adults that started, that have been able to have a purposeful life, not one that was not due to the death loss, but they've gone forth and made life better for themselves now and for their children and the children to come. It's the donors that we thank from the bottom of my heart.
We couldn't have done it without the donors that we have, and we are fortunate enough to have a development staff here that are finding new support and resources. And the staff has really recruited some, and they're enthusiastic. So I think it's gonna survive. If it's done 28, 29, 30 years, well then certainly it can go on another 28, 29, or 30 years.